So a very, very flexible way of working. What we're going to do in the next section is just have a look at a slightly different way of using SketchFlow. In this particular example, my designer has been producing some old-fashioned design, using pen and paper, producing stuff like this. And the great thing about doing prototypes on paper is they're very fast and cheap. And if you get it wrong, well, it doesn't matter because you can just literally throw it away, and that's fantastic. But there's some disadvantages to paper. It's not very interactive. I can't really animate it that well, and I can't really integrate it with my data that effectively. So let's just see how SketchFlow can help me take a piece of paper and actually turn it into an interactive prototype. So the example we've got on screen here, I'm actually presenting 4 different ideas to my client within the same prototype. So again, a very different way of using SketchFlow. And this helps the client really sort of compare and contrast different ideas very quickly to move forward with a particular design. So this first version is a fairly standard sort of layout there. The second option we want to present has a tabbed user interface. And what we've already done here is we've already set up the transition from open to closed. So that looks pretty good. That's nice. But what we want to do is make this feel more real. We want to allow the client to click directly on these images to interface with this UI. So I'm going to say when the client clicks here, we'll play back the open transition. So I literally just choose play back the open transition. And then when the client clicks over here, we want to play back the closed transition, like so. So again, we're just using behaviors to add the interactivity. And we'll just build this again and view it in the SketchFlow player. This whole prototype has been built from paper-based sketches and animation. And you can start to imagine how you could be maybe sitting in a meeting with a client, sketching all over the whiteboard, lots of information up there, taking photographs of the information on the whiteboard, bringing it into SketchFlow, and then turning that into an interactive prototype right there and then. So these are the 4 ideas we're going to present. Let's jump straight to option 2. This is the one with the tabbed user interface here. When I click directly on that, you see immediately how that would look in the open and closed position. And even though this is only a sketch, an animation, the client immediately gets a really good idea of how this would look like if we actually built it into a real application. But we haven't had to make that investment in time to actually demonstrate that to the client. The 4th option down here, this is the one with that really unique control system, the circular control. And again, to get across the message of how this would work to the client, we just use some animation, and also indicated down here how it would actually be controlled by the client, by the user, sorry. They'd actually just use a mouse wheel to do that. So again, you can use SketchFlow to add in this additional information. The final thing we wanted to do was show the client how the application would transition from one state to another state. Again, something very difficult to do with just drawings. But again, we just scanned in some images the designer had done and essentially just animated that within the SketchFlow environment. So the client really liked this. They thought this was a great idea. But just to give them that extra little push, we produced a higher fidelity version of this particular transition. And we'll just take a look at that now. And when we play this back, you can see exactly the same transition, but just in high fidelity. All of these graphics were actually imported in from Adobe Photoshop. And Blend 3 includes a really high-quality Adobe Photoshop importer that keeps all of the individual layers and also the editability of the files as well. So very quickly you can integrate with your more traditional workflows. So the client's really happy now. But all we've managed to do is demonstrate the application to the client. Wouldn't it be great to get some feedback from the client? Well, SketchFlow helps me there as well. So literally down here, I have a feedback area. So I can come in here and the client can say, remove logo, for example. Well, which logo? There's 2 logos. Well, no worries, because I can actually pick up my pen tool there and just scribble out the logo that I don't want anymore. I can also maybe decide I want that Windows logo down there. We can go back through the whole application and actually annotate the whole thing here. So maybe we want to make some changes. In fact, let's go to the tabbed UI here. Maybe we want to get rid of these bottom 2 products and turn that into an upsell area. So I can scribble those out and we'll just say upsell area, question mark. Once the client's finished making these annotations and comments, they can then export out this feedback. And in this case, because I'm doing this locally, I'll just save it down onto my desktop. But you can imagine how the client might just email this back to you, drop it on a share, or put it into a live mesh folder or something like that. Then back inside of SketchFlow, I can import that feedback. So what we're going to do here is I'm literally just going to open my feedback window, go and grab that feedback, which is just sitting on my desktop, and import it in here. And that feedback appears in context right on my design surface. And this creates that really nice connection between the client and the person actually doing the prototype. So SketchFlow is absolutely fantastic. When you think about what it's allowed us to do, it's allowed us to build out the flow of the application right at the start. It's allowed us to take that and turn it into an interactive prototype using those low-fidelity components and also these pen and paper-based sketches. It's created the project documentation for us as well. And at the end of the day, it's also allowed us to connect with the client, allowed the client to actually interact with the prototype at a very early stage, and also feedback and put that directly in context on the design surface. The amazing thing about all of this is SketchFlow is just one of the powerful new features in Expression Blend 3. There's a ton of stuff in Blend 3. And Blend 3 Visual Studio and the new tooling from Microsoft is really designed to allow you to go from concept all the way through to completion, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So you've probably got one burning question now. How do we get all this stuff? So let's have a look at how we actually get the products. Well, Expression Blend comes as part of Expression Studio, along with web, design, and encoder. Essentially, you get everything in one box that allows you to build interactive web applications using Silverlight, out of browser applications, again using Silverlight, desktop applications using Windows Presentation